It's great to see that you've taken that first step in ramping up your commercial drone business, getting your Part 107 remote pilot certificate. That's what this course is all about, bringing you up to speed with the aviation knowledge required to pass the FAA Part 107 exam. Even if you don't have your Part 107 certificate quite yet, it's never too early to start planning for your business. Now, it'd be great if you could just wake up to a beautiful morning, throw the equipment in the car, and go out and earn wads of money doing something that you love. Unfortunately, it rarely happens that way. Especially if this is your first time working for yourself or running your own company, the path to success may not be what you think it is. Luck has very little to do with it. Don't expect to sit around waiting for the phone to ring. Get it in your mind right now that you will spend the majority of your time marketing your services and getting your name out there in front of the public. Unless you're going to work for a larger company, you should accept that you're going to be an entrepreneur. Your success will depend only on you and how you run your business. I think the biggest mistake that people make when they first become entrepreneurs is thinking that they can now set their own hours and have all this newfound freedom. Well, yes and no. Instead of working 40 hours a week for someone else, you'll now work 60 to 80 hours a week working for yourself. It's going to be a hard grind, but here's the silver lining. You'll be doing something that you love, and you'll have the satisfaction of achieving success through your own ingenuity. And let me tell you, it's a great feeling. Deciding on your target market should be your first determination. Are you going to specialize in real estate photography or tower inspections? Drones are needed for everything from agriculture to engineering. You may decide to specialize in one of several areas. But make this decision first. Know who you want to sell your services to and tailor your company's public face for them. Another of your early decisions regards a business name. You'll probably do best with a name that is short and somewhat descriptive. And honestly, this may be one of the harder things that you have to come up with. It can be challenging to select a great business name. When you do pick a name, make sure that it does not infringe on someone else's business name, especially in your state. If your last name is Ford, you wouldn't want to call your quadcopter business Ford Rotors. You might just get a nasty cease and desist letter from the Ford Motor Company saying that you were misleading the public. You also want to find a good domain name for your website or future website. Now this one can be pretty tough. People purchase domain names and sometimes stockpile them. The result is that it's really difficult to find a short, descriptive, and memorable domain name. You can search for available domains online with companies such as Wix, GoDaddy, Squarespace, or countless others. Ask your friends what companies they use, and more importantly, ask them if they've been happy with the company and its service. You should be able to purchase your domain for less than $15 a year. Once you've decided on a company name, it's time to determine what kind of company it will be. Your main choices are sole proprietorship, LLC, or a corporation. What you choose is more of an accounting and tax issue than anything else. If you're going to be a one-man show, it could be any of these. If you're going to have co-owners or shareholders, it will probably need to be either an LLC or some type of corporation. Now, many times folks starting up drone businesses just assume that they need an LLC, mainly to protect themselves from liability. I strongly suggest that you consult with an attorney or CPA if that's your reasoning. I'm not offering legal or accounting advice here, but I will say that if you're expecting to protect your personal assets by creating an LLC, you probably won't get the protection you think you'll get. If you own 100% of your LLC and it's ever sued for some type of liability, lawyers will likely pierce the corporate veil and come after you personally. Have this discussion with a lawyer to learn what your exposure is. The best protection you can get for you and your company is adequate insurance coverage, and that's a big subject in itself. An insurance policy may cover a wide variety of things. The most obvious is damage to your drone. This is called hull insurance. But you also need protection for damage you may cause to the property of others, as well as coverage for personal injury to others, be they employees, subcontractors, or third parties. Our good friend Evan Garman is an expert in the world of insurance, especially as it applies to drones. So Evan, can you give us a quick overview of the kinds of issues remote pilots should be aware of?
Yeah, Russ. So the first thing I would start off with is the UAV policy. It's going to be the most basic amount of coverage that a UAV operator should have that's going to cover their drone's liability. It's usually on a worldwide territory, so they'll follow them again anywhere in the world they're planning to go. Also, with the UAV policies on the market today through the airline carriers, it will cover if they are legally able to fly in an airspace. So again, make sure they have the proper paperwork. Again, those policies usually don't have issues with that. Something that's also covered in the UAV policy is the actual aircraft itself, and it's referred to as hull coverage. Most of the on-demand policies out there right now that people can get for just a specific time period will not usually have hull coverage as an option, and it is hard to find also on the standard market as just a single policy. You usually have to purchase the liability with the hull coverage. So if an operator is needing hull coverage, though, again, look to the annual policy to get that. Something else is worth mentioning that general business liability policies are a policy that most every business will have that has a physical location for just again mainly slips, trips, falls, that sort of stuff. But the policies do exclude drones. There are a few on the market that will have endorsements that can be added on to cover the drone operations. However, it may be limited though in where the operator can fly. Again, worldwide is typically not going to be in there automatically, as well as certain airspaces, they may have restrictions. So that is something to review with an agent. The last form of coverage I would recommend looking into is workers' compensation coverage. Again, it's going to be on a state by state basis, so it is important to review state laws in regards to workers' compensation. But typically, if you hire a part time person, you would want to make sure you have a workers' compensation policy there in the event they are injured. Same thing goes again with contracting labor. If one of those subcontractors gets injured, who are they going to look to provide for their medical bills? So that about sums it all up, though, Russ.
Okay, much appreciated, Evan. I would strongly suggest that you contact Evan or someone like him and learn exactly what the best insurance package is for you. Okay, that gets us through your role as an entrepreneur, choosing a company name and domain name, deciding what type of company you wish to have, and insurance. Next, let's see what type of marketing options are out there for you. If you run a shoe store or restaurant, your brick and mortar presence may be one of the main ways that you get your name out there. People drive by, they see your sign, and now they know that you exist. But a drone business is a specialty service company. Everyone needs shoes and food, but not everyone needs aerial photography. You're appealing to a small group of people in what is called a vertical market. Now, you can't take a shotgun advertising approach, and you can't just print some flyers and wait for business to fall into your lap. You have to identify the types of people who might want to use your service and figure out how to get your name in front of their faces. Now, when you're out there on a paid job, that's a great opportunity to tell the public about your brand. If you have flyers, hand them out. Always have your business cards ready. It's a good time to talk to the spectators. But where marketing is involved, that alone isn't going to do it. You're going to need to do more. One of the first steps in marketing is to establish recognition of your brand. I use that term broadly to refer to your product or service. People can't hire you if they don't know that you exist. You'd think that most new companies would at least get past step one, but honestly, that's usually the first thing they miss. You have to think like an entrepreneur and be proactive. While most people lag behind complaining that they aren't getting any paying jobs, you need to be the one who is pushing ahead aggressively and tenaciously. Don't be timid and don't give up easily. It's tough to establish your presence in the marketplace. Keep pushing and don't become discouraged. There are a lot of commonly used methods for promoting a service or a brand name. Many aren't very creative, but they are easy to do, and for that reason alone, don't overlook them. Take advantage of every opportunity to get your name out there. This is bare minimum stuff. It's low-hanging fruit, but you'd be surprised how many new commercial drone pilots either overlook these opportunities or just don't bother. The sad truth is that most drone businesses don't do well. There are a lot more losers out there than winners. So here's a fundamental secret I want you to keep in mind. Most of your competitors in this industry are doing a poor job of running their companies and an even poorer job of marketing. It's kind of like the bear joke. You don't have to outrun the bear, you just have to outrun your buddy. You can easily surpass most of your competition by selecting the right target market and establishing a professional brand and reputation. It's not difficult, you just have to do it. In the following lessons, we'll dig into these topics in a lot more detail, and I'll show you some specific actions you can take to make your company more successful and profitable.